When we look at success, we tend to only see the end picture, the glam, the shout, the appreciation. But we miss to see the sacrifice it took for one to reach at their destined plateau. I'm Treasure Colombe, and in the process, we're going to sit with professionals and successful individuals from different industries to look deeper in their journey, to unravel the wisdom, the lesson, and the grind it took in order for them to walk in their purpose. Come on this journey with us and discover some key tools that will help you in your process. Good evening. Welcome once again to The Process. This is your host, Treasure Colombe. As always, such an honor, such a privilege to be able to come and sit with you all in your homes, in your cars, wherever you may be following us from, and to have another impactful conversation that is to impact you, that is to inspire you, to propel you in your process towards where God has destined for you. As usual, I tell you, you don't want to miss these conversations because we have loaded guests just like tonight. So I want to make sure you're liking the videos. I want to make sure you're subscribing, you're hitting that bell so you don't miss any of our videos as they come out. Tonight, it is such an honor and such a privilege to have the guest that we are about to have, a young man with so much talent and so much wisdom, and a story that backs up the talent, a story that backs up the wisdom. Tonight with my guests, we're going to be talking about resiliency. We're going to be talking about resiliency. In this time, in this season, for so many, it is a needed topic, understanding what resiliency is and how to apply it so that you finish that race. So I'm excited to have as a guest today. His name is Jonathan Kabongo. I'm going to give you a chance to get to know him in a second, but it's such a privilege and an honor to have him joining on this platform. Good evening, Jonathan. How are you doing? Thank you so much for your time.
Man, what an introduction. I appreciate that, man. I'm doing great, especially after that. I'm feeling good now.
No, really, honestly, the privilege is really ours. I know in your busy schedule to be able to give us a chance. But before we get right into a topic, those viewers of ours who may not know the star that they have before them, would you tell them a little bit about yourself? Who's Jonathan? What does Jonathan do? And then we'll take it from there.
Man, my name is Jonathan Kabongo. Grew up playing basketball, prep school, Huntington Prep, University at Virginia Tech. Obviously, not playing basketball no more. Stopped at Virginia Tech with some basketball injuries, with my hip and my back. But at the same time, was always, involved in the arts. Studied creative writing in school. Was always recording music. And yeah, I just see myself as somebody that's, not only just creating different forms of art, but also just trying to be, a positive impact in the community, whether it's with sports, and just like mentorship or whatever, and just really dedicated to seeing the prosperity of all the people around me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And really, we're going to try to unravel all of those things, those different layers that has made you who you are today, because I believe through that conversation is going to help so many people. And really, I want to start off from here. The topic of resiliency is one that a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, have a difficulty really understanding and grasping. We're living in this kind of society where quitting is easy. Quitting is very easy. It's quick for people to just give up and to go their way. And really, I want to start in looking at your journey, looking more so in the beginning. You come from a household full of talent, right? Siblings, very talented in many different areas of their lives. And so being the youngest coming out of that, how did you develop that resiliency at such a young age, because a lot of people, that's where they fall right there when they look at the competition around them, and it's like, oh my god, this one is an all-American, that one is in Delaware, this one is an actor, this one is a manager. They might get scared right away, right? And not go after their own dreams. So how did you develop that notion of resiliency at an early age in the midst of so much talent?
I just saw it as inspiration. I saw it as like a reason to pursue because you're seeing people succeed, you're seeing people prosper. So I think as a child, it was more inspiring to me than it was like daunting. You know, I
Mm,
really, I really like was grateful for what I was able to see up close. And because of my proximity to everything, I really, really believe it gave me more inspiration. So um,
mhm.
it's crazy that you even say that because I never even thought about it that way. How like maybe I could have just been like, oh man, but like it was really like the opposite. I was just like, man, like okay, yeah, it's possible if I just dedicate my time the way I've seen others dedicate their time.
Mhm. And that's so amazing. Like that in itself, it's loaded. You talk about using that as an inspiration, and many people in this world of comparison will look at somebody else and say, no, because they better than me right now, why should I keep doing? Because they're more advanced or they're more successful than me right now. Why should I bother even starting? But you talk about utilizing what is in your proximity as inspiration, understanding that because somebody else is ahead doesn't mean you can't get started, right? Because somebody else is succeeding doesn't mean you also
Yeah.
can't step up and begin to strive for the things that matter to you. And for you, we could tell already as a young man, like you said, not only did you have that inspiration, but also there was a drive, there was a motivation. Talk about how important it is to be self-motivated when it comes to resiliency, because the storms and the mountains, they show up whether you want to or not, but you got to have something that can push you through. So talk about how motivation was helpful for you and how it helped you to be resilient as you were being inspired by these people.
I mean, I feel like growing up in that household, like and having like a mom that was God fearing, you know, and that really taught me like, you're a child of God, like you're made in God's image. Like that alone, when you really think about it, it makes you realize like, oh, so I'm worth something. Like what I give to the world, it matters. It has value. And like having that instilled in me from a young age, I think it really made me believe like, okay, like, I'm here to do something. No matter what it was, you just feel like this importance, like and yeah, life has its ups and downs and the failures, but I think that's what always kept me resilient or kept me, getting back on my feet. It was just this simple belief that like, yeah, like I matter, like like that I'm here for a reason, you know.
And that's so true, right? That we mattered. But pushing back on that a little bit, a lot of people will say, "Yeah, I matter, but why are things not working the way it should?" Right? I matter, but why is life so difficult? I matter, but why am I dealing with the worst of the worst? I've lost this, I've lost that, and in your journey, you got to that place in life where you were at the brink of what many young men aspire for, right? To play on the biggest stage. We're already playing on the biggest stage, but to get on that next stage, to be able to fulfill all of those dreams where basketball was concerned, and then the injuries happen. How do you pick yourself up from that? Because many people can get themselves motivated, get themselves going, but then when they hit that failure, when they hit that roadblock, they don't know how to come back. They don't know how to continue to pursue that dream, because the failure can really make you feel ashamed, worthless, and all of those things. So for you, being at the brink, knocking on that door of fulfilling your dreams and being knocked with that blow that took place in the form of an injury, how did you bounce back from that? How were you still able to be resilient in the midst of that failure? Talk to us about that so that somebody can get some nuggets from that as well.
I realized I wasn't the first person, I wasn't
Mm,
the first, and I'm not the last. and people have done it before me, and people will do it after me,
Mm,
and I think when we feel like we're the only ones that have failed, or not, even if it's not a failure, even if it's like, we're the first people, we can't feel like we're the only ones that had a dream and didn't reach it.
mm,
We're not the only ones that have given a lot to something and maybe didn't get an opportunity. Like, it's
mm,
it's it's more common than I think sometimes we even believe, you know. But because I was aware of that, even though it was really hard, I realized, I said, okay, this is part of journeys for some people at certain
mm,
stages. This was the stage where I had to deal with this part of my journey, and I'm still here.
mm,
If my journey was done, I wouldn't be here.
mm,
So I think sometimes just even realizing like the value of your life, kind of going back to what I said before, it's like, wow, like, there has to be a reason for why I'm here. So let me hurry up and figure it out and not be so caught up on where I wanted to be for so long, and just figure out where I want to go next.
mm. And that is so true. I love that. I've never heard somebody put it like that. I'm not the first one, and I'm not going to be the last one to find myself in this position. And that it doesn't change one's value because they fail in a particular area or they don't meet. And I think even the word failure might be the wrong one, but that they don't
Mm.
meet the standard or the aspiration that they may have wanted to at that moment in time. And the thing is that the reason why I want to take away the word failure, because for many people, if that one thing that they were so tunnel vision about doesn't work, right? They now assume that, hey, this is it. Because I gave so much of my energy in this one area, it didn't work. But at the end of one road, sometimes is the redirection to another road, right? At the end of one road, sometimes it's the redirection to another road. And I want you to talk to some young people who deal a lot with these identity crises, with these, mental breakdowns. We're seeing what's happening in our communities, young men committing some really heinous crime because really lost and trying to figure themselves out, right? And figure out what it is because one thing didn't work, so they didn't know where else to go. So they go after certain choices that aren't beneficial. What would you tell those young people when they get to that road where the main thing stops? How do you find the next thing? How do you discover the next challenge or the next road?
I feel like sometimes the first step is just like self belief, like believing that you you can do other things. And
Mm,
then I feel like sometimes like it will find you. Like we are very layered human beings. So like there's a lot of things that we're interested in. There's a lot of things that may, you know, just come across our path just on a day to day. And if we
mhm,
just like live our lives with this self belief that, hey man, like, maybe I don't know now, but I'm here for something, and I believe that I can do this thing. I believe that I'm capable of good. I
mhm.
don't believe that I have to, go down a path of destruction to survive. Once you really believe that about yourself, I think that's the first step. And like, yeah, man. From there, I think more positive thoughts come to your mind, and more confidence to even go down any path you choose in life.
Mhm.
Will be had. So yeah, I really believe in like faith, in like this belief in, especially like, you know in yourself too, that like, yeah, like, you can do this.
And how does somebody get there, right? And I'm saying
Right.
you got social media in your face, right? You got all of these images telling you what should be, popular and what should be accepted. How does somebody get to that place to begin to believe in themselves? Because sometimes people's environment is serving as a hindrance, you know, and their hood, their neighborhood, their family is hindering them. They've heard so much negativity, they begin to believe it, right? They walk out of their house, they're seeing shootings, killings, fighting, stealing. It's hard to begin to believe in yourself, surrounded by so much chaos, surrounded by so much darkness. How does somebody get there? What would you tell that person? How do they begin to believe
Yeah.
in them?
you got to know who has authority on determining who you are and what you're capable of. You know, and I God doesn't say that about you. You know, like
Mm,
if God is, you know, the creator of everything, the universe, and He created me, I don't believe God created me to be nothing. You know, so why am I gonna believe that about myself? If clearly, God would never do that to me. Maybe I I I I suppose that He created me to be nothing because I may not have the status, the wealth, and the whatever, the health of these other people. But it's
mm,
like, what about what I do have? You know,
mm,
because I could focus about what I don't have all day, every day, forever. It doesn't stop, you know? But then
mm,
when you flip the page and you're like, okay, well, I have this, I have that. Now you start to understand, oh, well, you know, there's something to work with here,
mm,
you know?
mm.
And,
Right.
and, 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 and I think, you know, like, you really got to know like that, you know, sometimes some people they may only see the negative side of you, you know, and that sometimes that's an internal struggle. But you know, we all have positives, no matter what you've done, no matter where you're from, no matter, and we all have positives and we all have negatives too, you know. Even
Mm,
people living the most successful lives, you know, they have to deal with their flaws and their mistakes and their obstacles as well. So we're all in
mhm,
the same boat, you know, and
mm,
what you see on the outside never tells the full story.
mm, mhm. Right. Never tell the full story. And it's like, I believe you have to get to a place when talking about that resiliency, you got to get to a place where you can just shut down the noise of the naysayers, right? That you got to get to that place where you stop hearing the noise that's coming from outside. You stop, listening to every criticism. You stop listening to every opinion. You stop listening to every whatever it might be, that folks are trying to bring on you, and really just settling yourself on giving yourself a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so big that many people today don't give themselves a chance. Just a chance,
Mm-hmm.
try again, a chance to step out again, a chance to start again, regardless what might be facing in their life. And you were perfectly able to make that switch. You could have easily said, okay, this didn't work. Let me just go ahead and accept it for what it is. But you chose to give yourself a chance and to jump and to let your artistic style come out, and to let that begin to show itself. And I've told you this before in private, I'll give you your flowers now. Like, listen, I don't even listen to music like that, but the consciousness of what you bring, the boldness to go outside of the norm and to show that I can bring you knowledge, I can bring you information, I can uplift you, I can strengthen you through this art, and I don't have to do what everybody else is doing. How did you get there? Like, because it, it's like I will listen to you and I'll hear the words of what you're saying. And somebody's really gotta pay attention to your art because it's a
Right.
whole teaching in itself. You're really uplifting people and causing people to identify who they are, not to recruit. Like you're really trying to boost people up in a certain way. How did you get there to really
Right.
own your own lane and to just choose to be you and to go against the grain, you know what I mean, of what's popular?
Man. Um, when I feel like sometimes when people do it for you, and it really, 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 really has a strong impact on your life, I think, you know, you feel that call to do it for other people. You know,
Mm,
and you know, whether it was a motivator in the basketball realm, whether it was somebody that motivated me in music, whether, you know, somebody motivated me just on the street. Those moments, they meant something to me. Like, wow, you know, this person helped me feel this way.
mm,
This person, what this person said inspired me to believe in myself, to see my value. And it's
mm,
like, you know, I feel like, you know, rap, it's like, it's a very, very, very strong form of communication. You know,
mm,
I feel like you could use so many words in a rap song. You could use more words in a rap song than any other type of music, just
Mm-hmm.
because of the style, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you can use that many words with that much emotion, you know, and like it can build or destroy, you know. And I feel like I've seen it do both, and to me, it's like, you know, if I have people listening in their ears to something that I'm saying, like I want it to be informational, or I want it to be uplifting, or I want it to be, you know, something that could be used for good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I just know that, like, even if it's not the most people in the world, you know, like if I have that intent, I know that I'm doing something right. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what helps me stay at peace with what I'm doing, because I feel like if I was to do all the other stuff, you know, just with all the noise and the destruction that it brings, it's like, you know, it's hard to be fully at peace with it. It might bring you money, and that might bring you some temporary happiness, but you know, you
Yeah.
can never fully ignore all the other things that, you know, will
Mm-hmm.
be impacted by
Yeah.
the energy you're putting.
And that's so true. Everybody has impact, man. And that's really, what I hope a lot of people can understand about their life and their journey in this world that tries to tell you that you don't matter. Everybody has impact. It could be your neighbor, it could be somebody in your family, it could be somebody you encounter on the street, it could be that one person that listens to your music, it could be that one person that comes to watch a game, whoever it is, but that everybody has impact, right? And that it's not about notoriety and fame, but it's about living out your truth and allowing yourself to pursue all the things that God has put on the inside of you. And really, that's what the resiliency in life is about, is that you're way too gifted to play small. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like, we are way too powerful to play mediocre. We are way too anointed to just go about this life like we're a bunch of nobodies and we're just sitting here waiting for our death and let's just call it a day. But that there's so much more to our story. What would you say, Jonathan, to a young person who is saying, or just anybody who wants to do better, but they have experienced so much and they don't know how to go about it, right? They don't know where to start. What would you say to that? What advice would you tell them? A practical thing as a first step that they can undertake to get them out of that slump, to get them out of that misery, to dream again, right? And to start working on themselves. What kind of advice would you tell that person that's finding themselves trapped right now?
man, I think the first thing that, you know, I would do for myself, or I would tell anybody else to do, is like, you have to love yourself. You know, like you have to like love yourself, and not in a conceited way, but in a way where you actually love the person that you are.
Hmm.
You know, you love certain things about your life, even if you have negatives. You love certain things about your life that make you feel like there's something to look forward to. You know, I think when when you get to this place where it's like, you know, whether it's not having a lot of status, money, or maybe it's even beauty for some people, or maybe whatever it may be, man. There's so many things, you know, that could discourage somebody, you know,
Hmm.
and you know, especially when it comes to maybe how people treat you when you have a lack of these things, and you know,
Hmm.
that could start to, like, you know, really make you battle with your subconscious about what you bring to the world. But it's like, if you can be, if, you know, one of the first people, if you need to be, that sees the good in you, you know,
Hmm.
and that loves that good in you, and that focuses on bringing that out,
Yeah.
man, like anybody could turn it around. You know, it's
Mm.
it's when we start to think that, oh, like, you know what, the bad that is maybe evident, or the bad that people see, or the bad that people point out, is what
Mhm,
defines me. Once we get into that mindset,
mhm,
it's a dangerous place. And
mm,
I think that's why we see some of the things in our community. You know, like, you know, people just feel like they're defined by the negative. So they just fully, embrace it rather than saying like, no, I'm also a person that's capable of love. I'm also a person that's capable of charity. I'm also a person that's capable of,
Hmm.
being intelligent and doing smart things.
Hmm.
You know, yeah, man. I really believe that like it's a harder thing to do than it sounds.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would do it, and you would have no problem.
Yeah.
But it's
Hmm.
it, it,
Right.
it's really it's hard. And I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm sure that even the
Hmm.
most successful people, I'm sure there's times where Michael Jordan, he gets cut from his basketball team in high school. You know,
Hmm.
you go from that to being the best basketball player of all time.
Hmm.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? We live in an era where if kids don't get playing time in grade 7 AAU, they think their life is over.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, come on, man. Like, people got to believe, like, these stories are real. These people that we look up to, they did experience these moments of, you know,
Hmm.
just failure, like you said, or not reaching a goal, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And, it's that man believed in himself. Because
Exactly.
you know
Exactly.
we we look at his legacy now. We watch The Last Dance, and we're like, man, that's the guy.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
And that's so true. Loving yourself. I think that's so important. You know, there is always something on the other side of that mountain. You got to love yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to climb, right? You got to love yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to go through the storm. I would even tell folks that rather than trying to get out of storm all the time, go through it. Like go through it
exactly,
because you
exactly.
know there's always something on the other side of it, right? There's always something on the other side of it because, like we've been saying, we are all destined for great things, right? We're destined for really important things. And this last question that I want to ask you before we let you go, because I know you're real busy, you know, uh, I,
I'm good, man.
I know you well, so I know what's around you, right? And I see it in your art. I see how you display, those who have played the biggest impact in building you and in making you who you are today or supporting you in becoming who you are today. And a lot of people will just see all the success that you've been able to achieve as an athlete, the success that you're achieving as a trainer, as a coach, and the success that you're achieving as an artist, and just think like, nah, it's all Jonathan. He just
Right,
multi-talented.
right, right,
And
right, right, right.
they will forget, right, that it
Yeah,
takes a village. And I find that a lot of people, our younger generation, doesn't understand the value of mentorship, doesn't understand the value of having a strong group of people, of a team. Can you speak to that, to those people who don't like to hear no advice? Folks today
yeah,
don't want to hear no advice, don't want to be told nothing. You who are excelling the way you are, and you have a team of people that back you up and support you. Can you tell somebody who's watching you right now how valuable that is to continuing to pursue, to be resilient, and to excel?
yeah, man. It's like support. Could come from so many different places. It starts mostly for people that is with their family, then it could be their friends, then it could be people in their community. Mentors, leaders, um, and I think, man, it's like, man, as much as I talked about self belief, I really do believe that like we do have a responsibility to uplift, and we do have a responsibility to guide. Like, when you're in a position of just influence, whether it's in your home or in your community, wherever. And I feel like there's countless people, that have been around me, in my house, in my community, just wherever I've been, that like allowed me to understand these things that I understand, and allowed me to pursue these things that I pursued. And it's like, like I go back to the inspiration, like even just seeing somebody do something,
Mm,
seeing my siblings do what they've done. These accomplishments, it's a form of guidance
mhm,
because
mm,
I'm seeing you succeed. So now it's like, you just even being in my presence and succeeding, it's like, oh, okay, now I know what to do
Hmm.
because I'm seeing what's leading to success,
Yeah.
and you're right here with me,
Hmm.
and all the questions that I have, the answers are right there, you know,
Mm.
and and
Right.
that's why it's important for people, you know, to be present in the lives of the youth, who are
Hmm.
looking up to them, who are aspiring to be where they're at, because just giving them that opportunity to understand what it takes,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah, and I think it's like sports is a good example, man. It's like you get to work out with a pro, you understand now
Right.
what it takes to be a
Hmm.
pro because you get to work out with them, and you
Hmm.
get to see how they take coaching, you get to see how they correct themselves, you get to get advice from them, they get to help you,
Hmm.
and it's like that, especially like coming up with basketball. I think that was a huge thing, and like, just even having like, very talented and knowledgeable basketball players in my own household, just there,
Hmm.
and it's like all I had to do sometimes was just listen, and apply what I saw,
Hmm.
you know. So yeah, man, I definitely feel like role models and just mentorship is it's important for the success of younger generations.
Yeah. That was powerful. You gave a whole bar when you said somebody's success is guidance. Oh, that was
Hmm.
powerful. Somebody's success is guidance. The fact that I can see it shows me not only it's possible, but shows me that if I apply the same steps, I can also get there.
Hmm.
Woo, my God. Listen, I hope some of y'all get that. And then you understand why it's important to have around you people who've walked that journey. When you're trying to get the 5 steps of success and the 20 steps of breakthrough, you got somebody in your household, you got somebody in your community, you got somebody right next to you who has walked that journey. Humble yourself, watch them
Mm.
from them, apply their steps. It makes the journey easier. It
Mm.
enables you to continue to press on and to be resilient. Why? Because you have a guide right in front of you that is showing you the way. Wow. That was powerful. Thank you so much for that. That was powerful. That spoke to me. And before I let you go, I really want to give you your flowers, man. You're such an example of really what resiliency looks like. You are an example that there is always a way out, you know, having followed your journey, followed your career, and just watching the process. I remember when I was seeing, I said, oh, he rapping now. Let me see if he's any good. And then I would see right off the bat, I was like, okay, this, okay, all right. And what motivated me, and I'm telling you this honestly, you motivated me at a time because being an athlete as well, just watching you go through the transition from one passion to another and going through that transition seamless, like it's almost like it was an overnight thing, but I knew it was challenging, I knew it was
Mm.
difficult, but because of the passion, like you said, to have an impact, you never let it show. I want you to know that that alone speaks volume, and there's people like me who watched that, who watched you, and who were inspired just by that to see you be resilient when you could have gone the other way. So thank you. Keep up the great work.
Appreciate that.
Before we part ways, let people know where can they hear some music, where can they follow
Yeah,
you. Is there a show? Like, how can they get in touch with what you're doing right now and be inspired by what you're putting out there?
man. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Instagram, everything, TikTok, everything. It's all the same. Jon Kabongo, Jon Kabongo, Kabongo. There's a lot of exciting things coming up. Um, I'm just very grateful for just the things that I have in store. Um, really, really grateful, honestly. I definitely want to let certain things be a surprise, but I'm very, I'm very, I'm very like just glad that You know, I get to just have something to pursue, and something to just like look forward to, and something to give a lot of energy to. So I mean, you know, I'm glad that like what I did inspired you, and I hope that it's I really hope it's doing the same thing for others, because I know a lot of people just need it. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And thank you. And you're doing it, man. Keep it up. We're supporting you. Everybody, listen. You want to go if you're tired of all the crazy noise and the nonsense music you hear out there, and you want to know how to be inspired by somebody who's God fearing and using their talent in order to bring life unto others, I'm telling you, go and follow this young man. And I already know that the journey is only beginning. When you get too famous, remember us. Remember a small
never,
footprint.
never, never,
You
never,
know,
never, never.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, my brother, for giving us the time, man. Have
I
yourself a
appreciate it.
wonderful evening, and we'll talk again real soon.
Nah, yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. Honestly.
Bless.
All right, man.
Wow, wow. Oh, man. The power of resiliency. I hope somebody heard tonight that in the journey you're going through, whatever obstacles that you may face, don't stop. You get tired, don't quit. You feel overwhelmed, don't let go. You feel you're at your weakest, don't abandon the journey. There's a reason you're in that journey. There's a reason that process is taking place. Continue to get through it. On the other side of it, there's a success, there's a breakthrough, there's an elevation, there is joy. Not only to you, but to many people who will come and know your story. Be resilient. You're going to testify. Things have turned itself around. See, because the God who made you wasn't bored when he decided to make you, but he made you because he knew that in your life there would be a testimony that would bless, inspire, and uplift many people. I hope you've been blessed tonight. Make sure you join us again next week for another wonderful episode here on this platform, The Process. It has been your host, Treasure Kalambe. Have yourself a blessed night. Take care.